How often do you wear
I wear Google Glass every day, all day.
Really?
To the point where if I'm not wearing it, I'm actually kind of like wiping my head and like wondering what time it is. Like I'm completely adjusted, and it's abnormal not to wear it. It's particularly abnormal not to drive with it. I really enjoy driving with glass.
Wow.
To be completely honest.
There's legislation to make that illegal, isn't there?
I also text while I drive, so I don't know if there's any laws against this in California. I don't think there is.
Okay.
I frankly feel safer doing like as needed like pop-up navigation cues as opposed to like looking on my phone, scrambling with some sort of in-dash thing. It's much more natural just to look ahead of you. Something comes up, make a left. I do. It goes away. I get out of my car, walking navigation, right? It just continues. So.
Do you get a lot of weird looks?
It is constantly an attention grabber, especially if you go outside of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
If you just go to LA or anything, people are just like, "What in the world? Oh my God!" And then can I get a picture with it? Because everybody is very much into getting their Facebook glass picture. So sometimes you just have to take it off if you just want to go anywhere.
Would it be possible at some point during the dinner to switch glasses?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome.
For sure.
So he has to wear those glasses.
How about airport security?
Yeah.
I've worn this through airport security several
Just
times.
wear it right through it.
So SFO airport security is used to this.
They're like, okay.
It's like, oh, another Googler coming through.
This is the Pebble Watch. If I'm driving, I can see a set of my last messages or a message in real time come in, and it can give me a set of canned responses. So if I'm on the go and I just want to say, hey, I'll call you back, I can simply do that really quickly without having to take out my phone. It's a programmable watch where developers can build their own applications. If you're an existing mobile developer, you can extend your app experience to a second screen. We're building a number of different use cases around that and partnering with a number of large app developers to bring their kind of current experiences on the wrist. But the heads-up display like glass, there is some benefits to it, but the downside to it is that you have this thing on your face that not everyone is really comfortable with yet. Whereas a wrist watch, has been around for a long time. And, we were, designing around a different element, whereas glass, there wasn't too many head-mounted displays that people used, whereas we were trying to build something that there was already a billion of out there. So it's definitely a different real estate on the body.
I think there's a useful distinction here, wearable computing versus wearable hardware. So if you look at the sort of definition of computer, it's sort of a multi-purpose machine, something that generally computes so you can plug in specific programs that sort of performs a specific task. So here we have sort of wearable hardware. And that goes all the way back to the wristwatch, which was sort of like late 18th century, came out of the military. People, wanted to be able to check the time while having their hands filled. But still, the widespread adaptation took a long time because actually men associated it with, it was like a girl thing. So there's actually, exactly. So there's these great quotes of them saying, like, I'd rather wear a skirt than a wristwatch.
You had pocket watches back then? Or?
Exactly. It was all pocket watches. And sort of, eventually in the military, it started to say, like, we want a pocket watch on a little band that I can put on
Don't
my
call it a
wrist.
wristwatch, but...
Exactly. Not what my wife has, but something manly. Exactly. But actual wearable computing sort of starts at MIT in the late 70s, early 80s with Steve Mann, and I think that's what makes sort of a different product, and I think that's definitely a good distinction for different, areas where people are going.
There's been people working on this stuff for a long time, and when I was at MIT in the 90s, there were guys walking around with the glasses and cell phones that were boxes.
Right.
And they got it working. It was pretty amazing. And then it kind of went quiet for a while, Like that lab actually got folded into another lab. And then you had kind of a resurgence of this when you see companies like Fitbit really blaze the trail and kind of redesign this category. At Ogamatrix, my last company, we redesigned the blood glucose monitoring thing and put it on iPhones. And I don't know, maybe this is the second wave of it where we're no longer looking at plastic and rubber. We're no longer making things that might make you look a little different, but actually might make you look cool. Yeah. And kind of fit into your life. And so what I've mentioned in the past was maybe Wearables 1.0 was about making you look like Iron Man.
Right.
And whereas Wearables 2.0 will make you look like Invisible Man, where it's fitting into things that you already have, such as glasses or shirts or whatnot.
Could you see wearable tech being like, sort of going the bling direction, where like people want to show off their giant tech, you know, like they want people to know they have the most sophisticated tech watch on the block.
I think a lot of the wearable tech that we see looks like it's designed by Silicon Valley males for Silicon Valley males. And there are a lot more people in the world than Silicon Valley males. Like the Pebble watch is awesome. I mean, part of why it's so broadly appealing is it's not just for Silicon Valley men. It's people in Oklahoma City could really enjoy it because of the range of apps. I think same thing with Shine. I think it's something that people in Oklahoma. I always say Oklahoma City because I'm actually from there, so I can joke about it. You know, nothing wrong with Oklahoma City. But you know, for the rest of us, you know, and I think looking sleek and cool is important. You know.
So how do you guys do it? I mean, you guys seem like technologists. You don't seem like fashion designers. And we're seeing. Well, I mean, except for great color coordination.
You know, we don't really look at it that way. I think we really focus on building things that people find useful and things that people want before we look at the form factor to that level. I don't think we're looking at fashion first. I think we're looking at utility first, and I think fashion follows utility. You know, early on when you had phones, they served the initial purpose of being able to make calls remotely. But you know, as it evolved, the fashion element, the design form factor, became kind of a secondary step. So I think we'll see that evolve.
This is where I slightly disagree. I mean, the most revolutionary thing about Sony was they were the first ones to bring the designers in at stage one. You know, they're the ones that instead of designing a product and then handing it to designers and saying, make this look good, they were the ones that had the designers there from first one, and sort of the great heritage of this is Apple. You know, they had the designers there before they even had a product, just concepts on the map.
We did take the other approach where what we did was we brought the industrial design team to the factory actually, and this is what we talk about a lot is design from the outside in. We designed the shell, how to make the shell, who would make the shell, and it's all right, this is the shell. And we almost, believe it or not, we almost didn't put a sensor in it. Yeah, and because we couldn't fit it in. And so our requirement was, let's make something that people would wear, even if it was broken. Our first product is the Misfit Shine, this little device here. We're calculating points, you know, which is calculated based on the intensity and the duration of your activity. And then the points can be then used to derive things like, here we go, we got steps, calories, and miles, and distance.
That's what I'm interested in, is like where this sort of groundbreaking technology actually hits life in the real world. It becomes this interesting question when it confronts sort of the nexus of medical, but also the ability to record. Like medical and privacy really seem to butt up against each other with wearable computing. That seems to be the sort of big central clash.
There is a lot of that. Even just recording activity information, you know, is it secure, is it private, whatnot? Health information, definitely. Although I wonder how those notions will change and evolve as the Facebook generation, the millennials, you know, take over. You know, a lot of people are like, you've got vocal opponents, people really vocal about privacy and whatnot, and then the rest of us, you know, who kind of don't care, who you know, will post. Yeah. And especially outside the U.S., you know, you go to China and you think, or I don't know, other countries, and you talk about medical privacy, and they're like, what? And they'll have like the list of patients in the ward right now and what their conditions are and how they're doing. Oh, it's really convenient because I can tell, you know, Mr. Liu here has, you know, stage 3 cancer, you know, and he's, you know, and no one seems to care. They think it's a convenience.
So what about in the U.S.? What kind of information do you see consumers like sharing? You know, what's the extent that wearable tech is shareable and the data you're collecting is shareable?
Some interesting stories I've heard from one from a friend of mine who runs a company called Lose It, and he was talking about how I always thought, oh, it's because of the social aspects. That's why your Facebook and Twitter integration, you step on your Y-thing scale, it sends up it tweets your weight. Wouldn't that be amazing? And it was absolutely the opposite. And it turns out that if you want to lose weight, it turns out that most people do not want to lose weight with people they know. They want to be complimented to, like, hey, Joe, you lost some weight, you're looking good. But you don't want to know, like, he doesn't want to share that he's losing weight.
Right.
He wants to show that he's lost weight and that he looks good. And so it turns out that one of their keys to their success was a closed network where you're losing weight with people you don't know, but your friends compliment you. So I think that the discreteness, the containment of the data, when you say that, I'm like, yeah, that's totally right.
Speaking of which,
Oh, thank you.
As leaders in the field, the actual reason we invited you here was because Nate and I had some ideas for wearable tech.
Cool.
We thought we could pitch the three of you.
Joe, what do you got?
So there's obviously a lot of wearable tech dedicated to health and fitness and looking good and feeling good. I was thinking, why don't we cheat the system a little bit? So what it is it's a belt buckle, and it has a little projector screen on the top, and it makes it look like I have abs there. Yeah. I'm developing the tech
ab
now.
projector?
Yeah, exactly. Ab projector.
abject.
Do I hear a yes?
Let's get serious. Okay, I got something. So life login cameras, they take a picture every second. So we get the life login camera right here, but stick it sort of inward to track chest hair growth. So in fall of 2012, how long was my chest hair? I don't know, but throw the camera in there, inward, facing, and then I can just kind of track back and see it.
Apparently.